So we are going to be trying a new type of video today, which is chessons, or abbreviated chess lessons. Now, today we're going to be learning the Italian game, or more specifically, how to play e4. I'll give a quick repertoire against many possible things you may encounter, and just overall some instructional things. Now, before I get into the video, I must say, please like and subscribe. It helps me a ton, and it eventually will improve the quality of like me just recording in my room. So yeah, if you want me to be better, then you should for sure subscribe. So I've studied over the past 2 years incredible amounts of theory, master games, and through having an exceptional memory, I have been able to memorize almost thousands of lines of openings, and so I would consider myself a pretty solid chess teacher. But that's enough dabble. So let's get into it. E4. I've experimented with D4, C4, and Knight F3 in my career, but I always come back to E4 because, as Bobby Fischer said, best by test. Now, as someone who is either very new to chess or you are like pretty good at it, it's a thing of the opening. The whole point of it is to get yourself into a comfortable position and to set yourself up with a comfortable middle game and end game, where you know the ideas of the middle game to maneuver, and if it makes it to an end game, you'll be able to set yourself up just from the first few moves. So, most principled response against e4 is e5, taking the center. So here we are going to go Knight f3, and the most common response here is Knight f6. Now, obviously, there's way more things they can play, but that'll require a whole other video, and today we will simply be covering the Italian. So, we're going to get knight here, and now the question is, where does our bishop want to go? As is the point of the opening, we need to get all of our pieces out and our king safe as quick as possible. So, we can go here, which is the Ruy Lopez, or here, the Italian game. Now, in the Italian, there's many dynamic lines, but I'm going to be teaching today the quiet Italian, the Italian that many grandmasters play, and that if I'm going to choose an Italian, it's going to set you up in a very simple, very easy to understand, not complex position that'll require you to memorize thousands of lines of theory, as is probably what you're here to find. Now, there's an incredible amount of responses they can play, each branching off with others. And for me to cover them all, I would have to make this a 5-hour long video. So I will just go over the three main responses: Bishop c5, Knight f6, and d6. Now, there's a lot of other things they can play, but we'll start with the simplest. Knight f6. Now they're going to attack this pawn. Now, what I am going to advise is we play d3 here. Now, you may be thinking, oh, but why can't we just go knight c3 and go into 4 knights game? Well, because I have other plans for that c3 square. We are going to be pushing that pawn to c3, known as the Guici piano game, Guicho. Who knows how to pronounce it? Doesn't matter. We're going to go d3, solidify our center, and obviously, if anyone knows chess of the Italian, we could go for the fried liver, which requires a whole other video that I'll probably get into next. That'll be part 2 of this video, just the Italian, like sidelines. But I figure I might as well cover the main stuff. So, we're going to go d3 here, and I'll give an example line. We're going to go bishop c5. Now I'm going to suggest, obviously, castle. Let's say we had castles, and now we're going to play c3. Now, there's so many things they could play, but this is just a main idea. Now, we are not rushing getting this bishop out. This bishop, we don't know where it wants to go yet. Maybe it could go here to try and trade off bishops, or could go here to pin the knight, but there's no rush in getting the bishop out. This bishop is actually quite fine here on c1, and it doesn't even need to move because it's doing amazing. So, an example line, let's say they go h6. They want to stop our bishop from going there. They don't like that pin. Well, we're going to say, all right. Now, there's two possible choices I'm going to give you of how you can play this, which is you can play this way, with b4, where you straight up just go full send on the queen side, which is definitely a very fun way to play, which if we do an example line, bishop here, a4, let's say we get this, then we can go here, knight here. We get a very interesting position. Our bishop can potentially be rocking along that dark square diagonal. And, you know, we have great development, great space, but that knight's going to be coming over the queen side. So maybe if you like having a bit less risk in your games, you'll go with the more simple option, which is bishop e3. Now we are going to be attempting to trade off their very good dark squared bishop. Now, if they do something like this, we are simply going to take and develop our knight. And we can go into the plans that I'm going to demonstrate. But logically, if they take, what we're going to do is we're going to take here. And look at that. We have the file for our rook, the bishop here. And if we can somehow get our knight to here, we will have all three pieces lining up towards the king. So an attack may very well be possible. Now, there's many things I can do, but we'll go over just an example line. d3, now our knight's going to go here. We're going to back up this knight so that if they ever pin us, we can just go here. And if takes, our knight will take back, and we will be in a very comfortable position. So, that is all. Just, again, go back, go through the video if you don't even remember all that. This is all just example lines, but what I'm going to mainly suggest is a plan of c3, the quiet plan of trying to trade off the bishop, and just working at that. Now, if they don't want to trade off the bishop, and they go back to here, I'm going to suggest we are going to put our knight here. Now, what is this knight going to do? Well, potentially, we have a plan of moving our rook to e1, our knight to f1, and then our knight to g3, and then we will possibly put our knight on f5. Let me demonstrate. Here. Let's say they developed their bishop here. We aren't worried about it. We're going to do like a random move. Like, let's say they go here. Then we get our knight to g3. We have all of our pieces aiming at the king side. We might go here and sacrifice the bishop for the pawn. And this bishop may come back to support a potential d4 push in the future. So overall, very, very pleasant position. Nothing that's going to be exceptionally crazy here. So c3, again, comes with many, many ideas. This is what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest the quiet approach of d3 and then c3, as it's very flexible. You aren't deciding exactly what your plan is. And maybe at some point you're going to go d4, which is the very aggressive way to play it. And you can do that. You could do that right away, which would lead into a gambit. But I'd have to do a whole other video on that, because that could potentially lead into the Nachmanson gambit, which is a whole debacle. Regardless, that is how I'm going to suggest you play against this. So that's how we would play against knight here. Go bishop c5, again, castles, and look at that. We are in the exact same position. It all transposes together. Now, there's some other things we can face, but let's say we face d6. Against d6, I'm going to suggest d4. We're basically saying you're not focusing on getting your bishops out, so we're going to try to make something happen as quick as possible. If takes, we're going to have takes, and if they take back, we'll simply take back with the queen, and we'll have a nice queen. So if we get knight here, knight out, and then where's this bishop going to go? Maybe, well, not to there. But let's say they go here, try to castle. We can simply castle, maybe play f4, e5 in the future, take this knight, and we will have everything pointing towards the king side, and we will be absolutely doing great. We will be doing amazing. So the Italian is a really, really, really solid option. Just this quick few-minute chess lesson for learning it. There's a lot more things you can face, but again, the plan is pretty simple. Get your king to safety, d3, c3, and then it's up to you for what you want to play. Because again, it's so flexible of whether you want to go b4. I mean, here you could probably even go c4. I mean, d4. and have a really, really, really interesting game. Like here, 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 bishop here, knight out. We'll actually turn on the lines for this. Oh, but then it leads in this. So this takes bishop b6, e5, knight g4, and h3. And we might straight up just win a knight. Thank you, Stockfish, for the quick carry there. But this is just going to be a very good, very solid game plan of action that I'm going to suggest. It's not complex. It's very simple compared to many of the other openings. And against knight c6, after we go knight f3, and after e5, I'm going to heavily suggest bishop c4. Now, I figure I haven't been doing this for too long, so we may go over a quick sideline, which is the Blackburn Schilling Gambit. So this is a common trap that beginners can fall into. And if you have faced this before, simply you will refute the gambit with knight takes, pawn here, and then you can castle or go d3, and you will have a very easy position. And look at our pieces, our king's ready to castle, and none of theirs are ready. So we, in fact, if I turn the evaluation, we are straight up crushing right now. So actually, I'm gonna go put myself right here. So all very well, but you may be asking, what is the trap? And this is actually one of my favorite traps ever. So we're gonna get knight here, queen g5, and now this move looks really strange. Where it's like, oh, wait a minute, we're going for the fork. We still get the fork anyways. Yeah, let's do that. Look, fork in the queen rook, but guess what? They say, no, actually, we're going to attack your rook. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to move it. Now your rook's attacked. Oh, queen takes this now. And now you're in check. You have two ways to block. The queen. You lose the queen to the knight. And we don't want to do that. What have we been taught? Not to lose the queen. So we're going to block the check and then knight f3 checkmate. Checkmate in one move. Wow, such a fun trap. But you know, you can just take the knight and then win instantly. So your choice. All right. Hope you enjoyed this sort of educational style.